Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Sky and I'm coming on today to talk about a long time requested topic which is going to center around finding purpose and motivation in the birth chart. I was thinking about what video I wanted to do this week and it felt very much right to talk about purpose and motivation as we are currently in Leo season. We have a lot of Capricorn transiting right now, and I think that that's what those two signs have in common is purpose and motivation. And regardless of what time of year you might be watching this video, I'm going to try to make this video quite timeless so you can check back to it anytime and it will always have relevant information to where we can find some purpose and motivation in our lives. So astrology is a great tool when you're looking to understand your direction or when you're trying to refine your aspiration or your inspiration in life. This is one of the best things that astrology can be used for, in my opinion, because it's quite clear and purpose and motivation conceptually are quite complex and they rely on a lot of different factors. For instance, purpose and motivation, they're going to be made up of a lot of different things. Like purpose and motivation for different people can also mean different things. So to be very clear and to set out this video in a super clear way, we are going to be talking about where we think that we are best placed in life, purpose, motivation, what inspires us and pushes us toward a place that feels rewarding and makes us feel like we are using our valuable life force energy in a way that not only gives to our family, to society, and to the people around us, but also gives back to ourselves just by virtue of working and exporting energy in this way. So that is clearly what we are looking to understand via astrology and the birth chart, what we are most well suited for. So if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you enjoy the content and turn on the bell notifications to be notified whenever more videos like this go out in the future. Also feel free to comment below any type of content you would like in this similar vein. We can talk more about perhaps emotional healing in another video or overcoming trauma, seeking closure. There are a lot of topics that I would like to kind of talk about in this vein and how we can astrologically maneuver and make those processes easier on ourselves. So comment below what you might like to understand more about through astrology. So anyway, let's talk a little bit more about purpose and motivation. I'm going to talk first a little bit about some of the psychological versions of purpose that we can identify. So there are kind of like two very strong forms of purpose that I have seen. The first form of purpose being a very native and natural form of purpose, like what we in our lives know that we enjoy and know that we want to contribute to, and it's very natural. It's very inborn, ingrained sense of purpose that would kind of come about regardless of experiences or environment. That's sort of our natural natal purpose. And then there's another form of purpose that I'm going to call anti-purpose. And it's more of a purpose that is sculpted in our life based on difficult experiences, based on the environment, based on what we psychologically go through. For example, someone has dealt with a lot of emotional abuse early on, and that then triggers a purpose in them to get a degree in psychology and start helping people who have, felt the same way as them, versus just a sort of natal purpose there, like maybe the person hasn't had any type of environmental, super horrendous, constant emotional abuse, yet they still feel a natal purpose to help people who have gone through that. So it's really important as we go through this video, and I think just important in general, to be able to identify the difference between natal purpose and anti-purpose, because there can start to generate a type of conflict, an interior conflict that we feel where we are maybe convincing ourselves that, our anti-purpose is a natal purpose. And that can lead to us opening a lot of doors and creating a lot of karmic momentum that is not right, because it feels to me intuitively that anti-purpose can also be destructive. So by going through difficult emotional or psychological experiences, we start to generate a type of purpose that is not natal, and it's kind of like a cancerous type of energetic growth that sometimes for some people really does merge naturally with natal purpose, but it doesn't really work for the majority of people, or it leads us to over and over again create and generate in ways that are not actually natal. So sometimes people can experience a very genuine sense of anti-purpose within natal purpose, so they can kind of consolidate together, and somebody like from the time of birth or from very early on knows that they, I don't know, want to be a pilot or something, and then they also go through difficult experiences that forge that even stronger. They're like, yes, with every difficult experience I want more and more to accomplish my natal purpose. This is really good, and that's when our purpose or motivation is working natally in a very positive way. But there's also a type of person that goes through life and has a natal purpose, but then through going through difficult specific situations, they divert their natal purpose and move into anti-purpose, and kind of move completely away from their own natural holistic direction, which creates a lot of trauma and a lot of difficulty and a lot of unnecessary wounds. So yeah, it's really important to, as you're moving through life and you're feeling purpose or motivation, and think like, am I working through natal purpose or anti-purpose? And the best superpower is to be able to consolidate them together, and really specifically to heal what is damaged or what feels painful. So if you've had difficult emotional experiences, to have, psychotherapy or to have a great therapist to heal that before we're even embarking on purpose is the best thing, I think. Because some of this is quite unconscious, where we are not realizing that we're working through anti-purpose. It's not always super clear, which area we're working through. But you can usually kind of tie together any type of realization where you're like, okay, I was going through a chapter of my life that was super tough, and the only thing that seemed to pull me out of that chapter was this incredible ambition or this incredible motivation. We can pretty much know that that would be anti-purpose. Whereas we usually see that when I'm doing best, when I'm really great, when I'm having a great chapter of my life and I come out with purpose there, that tends to be more in alignment with natal purpose. But it is different for every person. There are times where even through difficulty, we can just then see our natal purpose. But yeah, it's interesting food for thought. But on that note, let's talk about some of the astrological components of purpose and motivation. So I've got quite a few things that I'm going to talk about. And I'll say at first, with astrology, every single placement is going to tie into purpose and motivation. Some placements more than others, which we'll talk about specifically. But the purpose of an individual or the motivation of an individual, this is going to be crafted by the synergy of every single placement, by the spider web of the birth chart in general. So it's much more a holistic type of diagnosis. To diagnose someone's purpose is going to be very holistic and not based on individual placements, but individual placements will definitely escalate or play more into the purpose overall. So the first thing we'll talk about, just starting at the very beginning, at the very center of everything, is going to be the sun, okay? The sun in astrology is very connected to purpose and motivation, and it starts everything. So this is where we feel vitality in our lives. This is where we feel life force energy, and this is where we feel as if we're getting stronger and feel as if we're building momentum and energy in our lives. So the sign that the sun is placed in, as well as the house that the sun is placed in, will more so than anything determine the purpose and motivation of an individual, okay? And specifically, if it's placed in an angular house, so first, fourth, 7th, or 10th house suns are just going to be more motivational, purpose-filled, ambitious types, typically. Of course, we're going to talk about other things that can make this as well. But an angularly placed sun will make, like, that person is going to be seen by other people in their lives as being like, more driven, more purposeful, more like connected to making sure every single day contributes to a larger goal in some way. So that will be one thing that we definitely look for. Also, I will say, like, obviously whatever is aspecting the sun, that's going to really determine how somebody accesses purpose. So especially sun connecting to the outer planets, so Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, those contacts will really show, what is purposeful. So say, for example, you've got, Sun opposite Uranus in your birth chart. You're going to feel very motivated about the collective. Okay, you're going to feel very connected, maybe to politics or society as a whole, and you're really going to be able to see it, and you're going to feel like it's kind of looking back at you, and you might even feel like rebellious or like you want to oppose certain societal themes, and you could find and see a lot of purpose and motivation within that. However, what's cool about astrology is then you can also see the flaw of the purpose or what to watch out with the purpose. With the sun opposite Uranus, you would want to watch out for being like reckless, or you'd want to watch out for not being quite refined or organized enough in the approach. Any type of disorganization or too much improvisation would create a type of implosion with the sun opposite Uranus. So when you're activating purpose through that type of angle, you would want to be different. You would want to be doing things in a like innovative way, right? But then you would also want to, I don't know, maybe really outsource some type of organizational capacity that would actually give that the infrastructure to operate. So interesting. Also like Sun Pluto aspects as well. Super, super strong. And Sun Jupiter aspects. Sun Jupiter, Sun Uranus, and Sun Pluto contacts are going to show super strong ambition, especially if it's the conjunction, the opposition, or the square. The harsh aspects to the Sun from Jupiter, Uranus, or Pluto will show like super, super ambitious people. And sometimes ambitious to a fault, like too driven. Whereas a trine or a sextile, or even a quincunx to Sun, Jupiter, Pluto, Uranus, these people will have purpose and have motivation, but it's going to come more simply. Like they're going to see that they just kind of fall into those roles a lot more easily, and they're not so much labeled or branded as like the ambitious person, but behind the scenes they for sure are. So yeah, Sun Jupiter, like it's very lucky. It's very lucky. Like they try to pursue something and they try to, move into purpose and motivation, and they have a lot of luck and natural success in being seen as benevolent, abundant, prosperous people. And people like with Sun Jupiter connections are very popular and very liked by most people. So they have a lot of luck. Even if the qualifications aren't there, they can be very lucky in just being accepted or being popular. And then with Sun Pluto, it's kind of like a karmic type of presence, or there's a vast amount of unseen energy or a vast amount of unseen effort that catapults or pushes somebody up into a higher spectrum. And also there is a, just, again, it's all unseen with Sun Pluto. It's more of like this person's presence or this person's communication is... it's not about what they say, it's not about how they look or how they appear, but something about the gravitas or the orb of these Sun Pluto people just magnetizes power, ambition, and purpose. So again, they can kind of just fall into it, or they just can kind of be appointed or elected into a type of more motivational aspect of life. However, they can also kind of mess up too. Like Sun Pluto has to be careful about any type of corruption or any type of fear or any type of like blackmail or going like about ambition in a untoward way. They have to watch out for that. They can either be the victim of that or the perpetrator. But once Sun Pluto like really evolves upward and becomes that eagle, like that sort of eagle, aquiline, Scorpio energy, like there's absolutely no competition. And when they're playing by the book, they're playing fairly. They're getting to the heart of issues. They rise above any type of corrupted opposition very easily if they would like to. So other outer planet connections to the sun, like Sun Saturn or Sun Neptune, these are a little bit different, but they're also very purpose and motivation oriented. So Sun Saturn people are naturally going to struggle a little bit more with purpose and motivation. Something's going to feel blocked or inhibited. Something's going to feel cut off, or like they can't quite get there. So something takes a lot longer. They can do incredible later in life. So especially after the first Saturn return, and especially after the second Saturn return, which is interesting, they really get into power and motivation. But there's always like things taking a long time. So like going through medical school, going through a doctorate or something, and 10 years have passed and maybe we could have actually done a lot more in that time. Also with Sun Saturn, the health. So there's a little bit more need for rest. The energy is less abundant with Sun Saturn. But through that, they also like really become enduring, and they become much more capable than other people because they have a little bit less to work with. You know, there's a little bit more lack of support or lack of alliance or lack of popularity. So through that, just to be blunt, through that pain, they have a lot of anti-purpose. So there's a lot of anti-purpose in Sun Saturn for sure. As there also is with Sun Neptune, where Sun Neptune to me is like people like don't know what they want to do. You know, like what is my purpose? What is my motivation? Like when I've done readings for people who have like strong Sun Neptune, that's like always the question. Like, I don't know why I'm here. I feel like an alien. I don't know what I'm doing here. And that's okay. You know, a lot of the times with Sun Neptune, it's about psychic purpose, and it's about emotional purpose, and it's about just generating an environment that gives you a grander sense of comfort, okay? And about also artistry. Artistic purpose is a huge thing for Sun Neptune, and creating a symbol or creating a symbolism, okay? Creating also like movements or creating collective inspiration in some way. Very inspiring, very rallying energy with Sun Neptune, okay? But yeah, Sun is always going to be what we look to. How is the Sun aspected? How is the Sun placed in what house? I talked about the angular houses. Now in the succedent houses, so 2nd, 5th, 8th, and 11th, it's going to be more like a purpose towards maintenance, or just a purpose towards safety and a purpose towards security in life. It's less like ambitious. Now, of course, we can have different placements that make that different, but it's not so much about ambition. It's about just creating an equal type of flow and creating a neutral type of happiness, usually from what I see with that placement. And then with cadent houses, which is 3rd, 6th, 9th, and 12th, Sun placed in cadent houses, there's going to be much like a purpose to always make ourselves more different, to have more transformations, to see like, here I am now and I want to be here. You know, I want to be different. I want to make a huge change. I want to completely transform my look. I want to completely transform my financial position. There's a lot of desire with the cadent suns and purpose around changes and around transformation. So yeah, but also it's just succedent and cadent houses in general. So houses 2, 5, 8, 11, 3, 6, 9, and 12. Sun placed into these houses, it's less about like direct purpose and ambition, and it's more about just kind of coming about it or discovering it through really looking deep into other aspects of your house, of other aspects of your of the house and of the sign itself. But again, those angular houses 1, 4, 7, and 10 placements of the sun are just very directly purposeful and motivated. So they're going to be motivated for everything. They're going to like be very motivated to make their breakfast, motivated to get out of bed usually. If you're struggling to get out of bed as a angular person, we've got a problem, okay? They usually love the sound of their alarm clock. They have something in their life always that they're motivated toward, typically. Okay. Next topic about purpose is going to be the midheaven, okay, and to a lesser degree the rising sign, because obviously the rising sign dictates the midheaven sign. So midheaven is going to, relating to purpose and motivation, it's going to be what we are seen well as. So this is a very vital aspect of deciding purpose and motivation, like what am I going to do with my life, what is my career going to be, and why is that the case? That's because the midheaven is natural success. It's where we easily can find some amount of purpose and motivation in our lives. Somebody who's not working with the energy of the midheaven in their purpose is somebody who appears out of place in their purpose. So you know what I'm talking about? Even like there are people who are so good at what they do. There are people who are the experts. There are people who are like doing way more work than anybody else, but they're not recognized for it. They're not seen to be that way. Like either they're doing all the work at a time that nobody else is there to see them do it, or something just energetically seems out of place. And this is one of the more difficult things, but it's very clear in astrology, is because we're operating in a place outside of our midheaven. So say, you know, for instance, you've got a Scorpio midheaven and you're working maybe as a sales representative. It doesn't really match up. Scorpio midheaven needs to be working in something more prying, like as a detective or as an investigator or as a psychologist or as like, I don't know, like some kind of secret agent or something. So to be a very open and like representative person who's very public would not really seem in place. So despite being maybe the best sales representative, you might never really see a lot of promotions or credit for what you do, or a lot of commissions or something. Something would be hard about it. So it's really important to think about our midheaven sign and what might be indicated in that midheaven sign, because it's how we're seen. It's our reputation. It's our public image, the midheaven. So operating outside of the midheaven, decide, and this is where anti-purpose comes in, because the only way that we can really do that is to really feed into anti-purpose and operate through emotional pain and come into a position through pain, and then we're not seen as a very pure energetic presence in that position, which leads to unpopularity. So that's where like maybe we see like a Chiron on the midheaven or a Pluto on the midheaven, not always, or a Saturn on the midheaven, indicating that there's been a lot of anti-purpose, and maybe we're very motivated and very ambitious, but it's not feeding into the midheaven, right? So if you're there, like, try to not worry. Like, I could see this being a bit discouraging for somebody who's like, you know, what do I do? I'm the sales representative and I have the Scorpio midheaven. Like, what do I do now? If you're well solidified and contextual into a position that's not very harmonious with the midheaven, it's really not that hard to make your position more harmonious with the midheaven. So maybe as the sales representative, now you really try to determine psychologically like what your customers want, and through that you maybe get like a new pattern or a new way of going about selling things by sort of psychologically understanding the undertone of a consumer. And then you start telling that to your boss, and you've sort of like used that Scorpio midheaven in a way that's more correct. And you tell this to your boss and you're like, I understand now that people who are, you know, interested in this type of product are always then purchasing this product as well when I recommend that after they've shown interest in this product. And you tell this to your like supervisor or something, and they like are really impressed, and maybe they promote you, but maybe they also fire you, okay? Or something weird happens like right when you understand, because, and this is, I'll explain how this works, but it's funny because you will maybe transform or transfix your inharmonious career into a way that makes it harmonious, and by doing that you karmically leave that, okay? And then maybe you're like, okay, now I pursue the psychology, or now I pursue the therapy because I realize that I'm much better at psychologically doing that. Or you then get promoted into a spectrum or a position that is more about that. They're like, well, let's talk to corporate and see, maybe you can get onto the advertising team that's really looking into like, you know, how can we really dig and understand who likes this? So you get what I mean? It's just a very hypothetical example of how you can harmonize with your midheaven more. So yes, midheaven plays a very important role in how we are being rewarded or promoted or generating a positive reputation in our purpose, okay? Okay, so the next thing that I'll talk about, next topic with purpose and motivation, is going to be the Nodal Axis. So this plays a pretty big role as well, especially the North Node, okay? But they both do, and the signs that they're placed in will kind of show you the axis of career success, or where you're kind of more destined or fated to be placed in a sense of purpose and motivation. So the North Node, first and foremost, is going to show like where we are going to be generating both anti-purpose and natal purpose. We will see both of those in that. So the sign and house that North Node is placed into is a great area of comprehension into what we can really feel rewarded about doing, what, because North Node, it's not just about destiny, it's not just about the lingering future, it's also about being congruent with our energy in general. Like if we get really outside of ourselves or really developed into anti-purpose, for example, what's going to happen is we're going to get very incongruent with our path in life, and the North Node is going to just kind of be an outlier, whereas we kind of need to be really contributing to that North Node and really filling our destiny with that strong life force karmic energy. So if you feel confused, I think the nodal axis is the best place to kind of reorient ourselves with where we want to move toward. If you're a bit confused about like, what is my destiny? What is my purpose? What is my motivation? Looking towards the nodal axis will be helpful because it's more of a type of inevitable static placement than the other placements in the chart. Also, you can understand the south node as well, like what you're coming from, like what your past and your deep past has sort of oriented within you. It kind of can show you what your general essence is building for you too. So I don't know, say you've got nodal axis in Pisces and Virgo, north node in Pisces, south node in Virgo. You're going to really not be interested that much in popular culture, okay? It's going to be much more spiritual. It's going to be much more, with North Node in Pisces, you're going to want to really prepare yourself to live a life that feels rewarding and spiritually intact. So there's going to be religious transformation with North Node in Pisces typically. There's going to maybe even be a bit of fanaticism at some point in time about something, not even necessarily religion, but some kind of obsession or some kind of like compulsive act. Also with South Node in Virgo, it's like perfectionism and compulsiveness, and having everything perfect and organized and optimized generates a very like fanatic, and for some people like dogmatic future with North Node in Pisces. But then as you start to realize that there's something uncomfortable in it, you can really start to then create art or create happiness in other people, or really start to fulfill a larger group of, or a larger collective to some degree. So if you had that nodal axis and you were maybe operating outside of it, say you've got like, I don't know, a Leo midheaven along with that nodal axis, and you're very much like just wanting to socialize or have fun camaraderie and kinship with other people, that would lead you to feel a little bit of maybe depression or inadequacy, because you would feel on one hand supplemented and seen well and popular, but there would be something that wasn't fulfilled because of the nodal axis. So then you could look to the nodal axis and be like, wait, I need something deeper than this very surface level kinship that the Leo midheaven is motivating me towards. So everything plays in synergy. Everything plays together, and everything creates a larger sense of purpose. And so I talked a little bit about, in the sun section, about the outer planets as well, but each and every outer planet in the chart is going to also factor into purpose and motivation in some way. Some less than others, just depending on how they are configured and what roles they're playing in the chart. But again, Jupiter is going to be all about like what we're lucky with, what we have natural success with, what we are popular for doing, what gives back to us very easily. Saturn is going to be a little bit about anti-purpose. It's going to be through limitation or through lack or through pressure or refinement or confinement. I now feel this purpose here. Like through the pressure, this is now my diamond, that type of thing with Saturn. With Uranus, Uranus and Neptune both, it's going to be more generational. Okay. So through the Uranus and Neptune placement, you can see how you can, find purpose within generational themes. And this is another incredible thing about astrology, is it really orients generations. If you notice, every single generation has a theme, or it has a certain set of problems, a certain set of advantages, a certain set of biases, a certain set of, positive factors. And then the generations can kind of get angry at each other because Pluto has changed sign with each generation. And they can kind of get competitive as well, which is something that I would like to ultimately see a bit more healing in, where the generations can hopefully come together and really work a lot more in tandem with one another. But yeah, Uranus is going to be about the... And for the modern day contemporary analysis, I'll say Uranus is going to be how you do on social media, okay? Uranus is going to be how you're seen in technology, how you're... working with technology, how you're noted there, especially if it's near the midheaven, okay? And then Uranus is also going to be how the collective around you identifies you, and how you're appealing to the collective, and that can show you a lot of purpose and motivation too. Neptune, on the other hand, is going to be more so about empathetic purpose and motivation. So how we can empathize with others, how we can emotionally connect with others, and the emotional purpose and motivation that we find, as well as the moon, especially if it's tied into that. But the inner planets are not so tied to motivation. Certainly they can affect it, like certainly Mars is going to have a lot to do with it, but they're not really the long term. But if you've got like Mars conjunct Jupiter or Mars conjunct any of the outer planets, it's going to make it much more direct, okay? And if it's like Mercury conjunct, it's going to make it a lot more mental and a lot more communicative. And if it's Venus, it's going to make it a lot more pleasurable and a lot more beautiful. So it's definitely food for thought. But and then to move on with the outer planets, Pluto is then going to be our ability to transform through purpose and our ability to really also gain power or gain acclaim or gain a sense of purpose. Well, just because it really kind of all starts with Pluto. Like Pluto is like kind of the planet of purpose. It's like what generates purpose, what human, hormone or chemical creates purpose. I don't know if there's like a mixture of like hormones or if it's like neurotransmitters or if it is completely spiritual. I'm not sure about the physiological connections to purpose, but we would see that in Pluto because it's about these small serums that create responses. So, yeah, very interesting to really be able to grasp purpose and motivation and to be able to then look to your chart and to at least get some food for thought. It's not right for everybody, but if you've struggled with purpose or motivation or you've not quite been positive about how you want to create that in your life, looking to these aspects or talking to an astrologer that is good about these aspects will also help to really facilitate some nice meditation and conscious thought about where we might like to place ourselves. And I think it's really relevant right now because we are actually, in the time that this video is being uploaded, at the end of July and beginning of August, we're really working through purpose and motivation. So it's a great time to get food for thought on that. But anyway, everybody, I want to thank you so much for coming by. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new, if you like the content. It's such a small thing for one person to do, but it really helps out the channel. So please subscribe if you get the chance, and turn on those bell notifications. As well, hit that thumbs up button to get this video out there. And if you want even more bonus content, I do have a Patreon page where you can join. All of the August readings are available over there now. And I do extended readings, T-chats, and different things as of now, as of August 2020. That is what the Patreon page is. So be sure to check that out. I will link it below. To conclude, I will also link you to my ebook, Moon Symbols, an astrological guide to healing your moon. I talk a lot about emotional moon healing in that ebook. So it was a wonderful thing to write. I was just finishing it about this time last year. It was September that went out. So if you haven't gotten a chance to check out Moon Symbols, be sure to check that out. And I will be talking to you guys later. Thank you so much. And I hope that you are enjoying a more purposeful and motivated time. Much love. Bye.